right, we're live. What's happening, everybody? Hope this pops up at the same sync as what I'm saying. So what's going on? It's Monday night. It's Steve, and what we're going to do today is how to DJ with Ableton Live. I'm going to show you how to use Ableton to do a DJ set. If you're in the position of having a laptop and you want to play a show and you don't want to be playing off YouTube with two windows or playing tracks off SoundCloud and you have to like pause one and start the other one, or trying to do like an iTunes DJ set where you crossfade and there's a total train wreck between every two tracks. That's not what we're doing here. There's my monitor window. What we are doing is I'm going to show you how to set up Ableton Live so you can have two decks and beat match even with another DJ, play two tracks, do like EQing and crossfading and stuff, and make a really professional sounding DJ set only using your keyboard. So we're not actually going to use push on this. And you can see on the GoPro screen over here, I just have one little analog mixer for the levels coming through. And you can actually do this and make a pro sounding DJ set. In fact, when I first started DJing with Live, I would bring a laptop to my DJ gigs and I have CD decks and stuff, and then Ableton just coming in one channel on the DJ mixer. And this is how I would do a set to play a bunch of tracks when you only have one channel on the DJ mixer. So what we're not doing is we're not queuing up with headphones in this situation. We're not going out to two audio channels, and we're not using external controllers or push or MIDI controllers or anything. It's literally only Ableton Live, a keyboard, and the mouse. In the future, I'll do more videos on how to, DJ with your audio output split to a mixing board and all that kind of stuff. But right now, say hi in the chat. Let me know who's here. I want to know where you're at because I'm watching the comments. I can answer your questions and help you out with different specific things. So let's start off with, for the basics of what DJing is, and I'm going to say this because it's easy to mess this up. Number one, play music you love. Number two, for people you love. What does this mean? Well, don't get a gig at a bar where people are taking requests and asking you to play this song on their phone and try to make them happy. Don't try to make people happy playing tracks they're requesting, because most of the time they're just trying to be drunk and show off to their friends and they're not actually listening to your music. The best thing to do is book gigs where you can play music you love in front of an audience who's going to really get into it and shut up and dance. So have a sense of what tracks you want to play, and then put in the time to go out and find gigs where you can play that music for the right audience. Another example is, don't get a wedding gig because it pays money and then try to slam some hard drum and bass on the audience because that's what you like. That's the wrong move. If you love that music, but you're trying to force it on the audience that doesn't want it, that's not going to be good. So identify the music you love, find the gigs to play it for people you love. And what do you need? Ableton Live and some mastered tracks that are warped with a laptop and some practice. So to start off with, let me show you some of these things. Notice if you can see my hands right here, I'm pressing some keys to go up and down. I have this square bracket for scene up and the other square bracket for scene down. This is how I go through my tracks and pick out what I want to play. If you look on the titles, we have deck 1 and deck 2, and then a bunch of tracks through the session. These are all kind of for illustrations. Down here at the bottom, we've got like a little 6-track set that could be like a good half hour of music. So what you want to be able to do is move through the set without using the mouse. In this lecture, I'm just going to show you the only thing we're doing with the mouse is crossfading on the crossfader. James Gardner, all right. Good advice, thank you. I think you're talking about good advice on booking, play music you love for people you love. And let me turn off my phone because I heard it making some noises, which that's my fault. I should have turned that off. All right, so you need a way to get through the different tracks. So these two buttons or controls, scene up and scene down. This is like in the CDJs when you have the knob to scroll through the tracks on your USB hard drive or your flash drive. This is how you pick which track you're going to play next. And you do have to have the tracks in live, and you have to have them warped, which means warping means when you press play on live, the metronome in Ableton is going to be triggering audio at the same speed that you're hearing it. So it's going to be all beat matched. So beat matching is not part of this with two different decks. What else do we need? We have to start and stop the tracks. I mapped 9 and 0. Listen to this. Stop, start. Like that. How did I get the 9 and 0? How did I get these two buttons to fire these scenes? Well, we enter keyboard mapping mode with Command key, or you hit the little key switch in the top right. And check out what's right here. There's a 9 and there's a 0. This little play button is gonna, when you press the key, it's gonna fire any scene that is selected. So we're not mapping like a number 9 on the Lauren track and 0 on the Josh Butler track. We're not mapping that specific clip. We're actually mapping the scene launch for each track right here. So any place where the select line is touching, we're going to launch those tracks. Okay, so that's your start and stop. That's your Q button. You might notice there was another thing mapped right here, this little Q and W that popped up. This will show us where we are. No, this will show us where we are in the track. When you're DJing, you need to know how much record you have left. Fabian, what are the keys for up and down? They are the square brackets, and let me show you where those appear. Watch the mouse by the master channel. When I enter keyboard mapping mode, doop, we have these little fields that magically appear. They're not there until you open key mapping. This button, you can put a controller to go scene up. This one goes scene down. That play button will launch all the scenes across, like if you're performing in session view, and the numbers will allow you to map a rotary controller, a rotary encoder, to just spin a dial to go up and down through the set, which is really cool. But we're not doing that right now because I'm teaching this without a controller for basic level. So now I have these square brackets to go up and down, and I have the ability to start and stop any track. Now I want to see where we are in the track. So let's say we're playing Josh Butler, and I want to know how much time is left on this track. How do I see the track? I'm going to hit the W key. And this is not part of live. This is something else I mapped. Right here, the W, track status display. Okay, that tells you a little graph of how long until a loop finishes, or if it's not a loop, it'll show you how much time is left on the track. And I want to see that. So I have a W here, and over here, I have the letter Q, which means when we have two tracks playing, there's a crossfader. How long is on the Josh Butler track? I hit the W key, and I can see. How long on Free Your Body? I can hit the Q and see those. If I turn off loop on here, just for example, now the counter is telling us we have 1:45 left on Josh Butler and 3 minutes on Free Your Body. And you always need to have a way to see the waveform. This is like on CDJs, when you see the waveform coming across the screen, you can see when the beat drop is happening. You can see if you're in a breakdown. You can anticipate what's going to happen, which lets you drop the next track at the right time. That's what it's all about. On a vinyl record, you can see the vinyl, and it's like the needle's moving in towards the center, and the vinyl is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And when you run out of record, the record stops. So you got to make the mix before you run out of record. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing here. So I have my scenes to go up and my buttons to go up and down. My controller is 9 and 0 to start and stop. Now I can see the tracks that are playing. One other thing I want to be able to look at is what is the audio setup for deck 1 and deck 2? Well, I mapped two other controls for the EQs. I'm using EQ3 because that's really good for DJing. It's just high, mid, low. And again, to get these mappings on here, I go to the actual audio effect and hit the letter A on deck 1. Now on deck 2, I go right to the EQ3 and I hit the letter S. That means anytime I want to, I can look at the EQs on deck 1, the EQs on deck 2, and I don't have to touch the mouse. The only thing I want to do with the mouse is manage the crossfader. Because honestly, if you're trying to do volume levels and then go over to the EQ and do your bass EQ and then go over to track 2 and put the bass up on the other one, you're going to go crazy, and you're not going to, the mouse does not work like your hands. You can't have one hand here and one hand there and two mouse knobs like a DJ mixer. It's not going to work. So the whole goal of this DJ set, of this template, is to do a good DJ set with a couple of keys on the keyboard where you just touch with your fingers, you have your mouse on the crossfader, and you make some solid mixes that you could actually do into a club plugging into one channel on a DJ mixer. Let me know if you have any questions. I love the questions. I'm going to keep cruising, rolling, and controlling. So we have the EQs mapped. Check out deck 1, okay? We're looking at the deck 1 EQ. We have low, mid, and high. You need to use EQs when you're mixing, but again, I don't want to have to use the mouse and kind of go in and click stuff. So I just map the kill switches. 1, 2, 3, not there. the buttons, keyboard buttons, 1, 2, 3 for low, mid, and high. Let's listen to Free Your Body. I want to cut the low. And drop. Let's cut the highs. Cut the lows and drop. Believe it or not, you can make a great DJ mix only using kill switches. You don't have to have a knob for rolling off the lows or rolling the mids down. Yeah, I mean, it's cool and you get more detail that way. But if you're trying to just walk into a house party, if I had to choose between playing a house party with iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube, or Ableton Live. I would pick Ableton every single time. It's amazing. It actually won Best DJ Software in 2006 and 2007. You might not know that, but it really did. And I've been using it in Session View for professional gigs like for 20 years. It's amazing. You just have to get a little bit used to your controllers and map it up in a way that works for you. So deck 1, I hit the letter A, and I have 1, 2, and 3 for the kill switches. Enter keyboard mapping mode, and you just literally type the switch, hit 1, 2, and 3 over there. Deck 2, we have our EQ3 on deck 2, and look at that, 4, 5, and 6 on those kill switches. So for deck 2, let's stop deck 1. I'm going to go up one scene, stop deck 1, locate the select bar, this gray bar here, locate it on Josh Butler, move the crossfader over, and launch with the 0 key. Now I want to see the deck 2 EQ, and we're going to use 4, 5, and 6. Cut the mids. And you can drop it right back in. You can get a lot of good vibe just cutting the lows and bringing them back in. Breakdown. 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, drop. Just like that, you can start having a good time and having fun in the DJ booth and making your mix more exciting. That's really what it's all about. Anybody can press play and stand there and be like, oh, when's the track over? But a good DJ set happens when you are involved with the music and you're doing stuff to make it get more fun. And that's where I want you to get with this template set. So we have the keys controlled to pick the tracks, start and stop the tracks, EQ the tracks a little bit, which leads us to mixing. So let me make a little space right here. Now for a mix example, I talked about the crossfader. That's the only thing I want to use the mouse for a smooth blend. Let me make sure you can use the crossfader. So this little X command is for show hide the crossfader. Look below the channels right there. When I click the X to show and hide crossfader, A and B are the two sides of your crossfader. So if I do this right now and unmap them, the tracks are going to play at the same time, and it's going to be like a train wreck. And the crossfader does nothing. So what I want to do is real quick, put deck 2 on B and put deck 1 on A. All of a sudden, we have control of which sound we're hearing. So that's the basic idea of a crossfader. It lets you smoothly blend between the two tracks. And lastly, if you're curious, why am I not using the volume faders on the actual tracks themselves? Well, this gets into preparation a little bit. I know the tracks that I'm playing, and I know they are mastered audio files that are basically the same loudness. So I don't have to worry about playing 2 records that are cut at different levels in the vinyl, or playing 2 MP3s that are like radically different volume level or different LUFs or something like that. I know these are mastered tracks. I've practiced. I know how they sound, and I know they're going to sound good. So I do not need to mix with volumes on the actual faders right here, like that. I don't have to go up and down like that. I can just use the crossfader to mix between the 2 different volumes. I can use my EQs to cut out the highs, mids, and lows, and I don't have to touch the volume faders. That kind of makes it a lot easier. You might notice there's a limiter on there, just in case anything goes crazy in a track. We don't want to blast people's ears. But this way of DJing is really simple. All we're doing is start and stop, pick the right track, blend with the crossfader, and work with the EQs a little bit. So that's how to set up the decks to A and B. Drop a comment if you like this template. I can make this available for you to download if you want to. I like building these lessons with some instructions in Session View. So let's do a mix example of EQ cuts. A problem is when you have 2 tracks with bass happening at the same time. Now, do we have a loop right here? How do I see this? Q. All right, this track is looping. On W, I want to turn this loop on. Now, if I mix on the crossfader, I can make a smooth mix, but I have to make it fast, because if the crossfader is in the center, then we have 2 bass lines and double kick drums at the same time, and it sounds all mushy and muddy. So watch what happens if I go to deck 2, cut the lows using the number 4 keyboard. Listen to this when I fade in Josh Butler. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. I'm starting to hear Josh Butler, but it's not like a low end muddy crash. And then I can drop the lows in again. Fabian, yes please. Was that a yes please on the template? I think so. Put in yes template if you're interested, just so I know what you're talking about. There's a delay where I see your comments like 30 seconds afterwards. So I always have to remember the question and make sure I know what you're answering to. Let's go back to the Free Your Body track. I'm on Josh Butler. I want to mix deck 1. I'm going to cut the lows on deck 1. I can hear the new track coming in. Slowly mix out the bass line of the other one. And at the right moment, I drop the new track in. What I'm showing you in this example is when you're mixing in a new track, the basic thing to do is cut the bass on the new record so that you can fade it in and you don't have a clash of two kick drums. That works for every genre, hip hop, drum and bass, techno. Anytime you're mixing two records, if they're both on at the same time, you should cut the bass. And let's go a little farther. We're gonna do some kind of zipper EQing. What does that mean? Well, Free Your Body has a cool vocal in the mid-range. Deck 1, I cut the lows and highs. What I want to hear is this vocal coming in. Fabian, yes template, thank you, I see you. Now on Josh Butler, watch this. I'm going to cut the mid-range. The idea here is we're going to have the kick drum from Josh Butler and the hi-hats. Then we're going to fade in the vocals from Free Your Body. Let's see if this works. I'm just on the mouse with the crossfader down here. I hear that bass line from Pros and Cons. And I can hear that new vocal coming in. That's a cool mix. Again, let me show you. Deck 2, we're hearing the kick drum and the hi-hats and no mid-range. Deck 2, the mids are cut. Deck 1, we're only hearing the mid-range for the vocal. The vocals sound great, and the lows and the highs are cut. So when these are in here together, we have a low from one song, a mid-range from a different song, and the highs from the first song. It's like a zipper where you pick, you can only have one of each, so you pick which ones. And then to finish the mix, you fade it over and drop all the pieces. Can we do that go in the other direction? What if I take out the highs of deck 1 and I have the lows and the mids on? That means on deck 2, we're gonna keep the highs on and cut the lows and mids. So deck 1 is this. Deck 2 is only hi-hats. Watch what happens when I use the crossfader. I'm just bringing in the highs from the deck 2 song. And I can drop the new track, drop the EQs right on the beat, because I have two hands, one with the crossfader on the mouse, the other with my EQ switches, and that lets me make a really good mix. I can choose the sections, highs, mids, and lows, do a good blend, and it's really fun. So this is, so far what I showed you is like how you can make some good mixes. As you get more advanced beyond simple crossfading and EQing to make it sound good in that loop, you're gonna come across the question, when to mix a track. Now you can see in this project, mix example, EQ cuts. Problem, too much bass. Solution, EQ cuts. Activity, cut the lows using the keyboard 1 and 4. So in the master channel over here in this project, when you download it, you actually get these instructions that tell you which keys to press, why are you doing it, and how does it make it sound better, and then some activities to play with the crossfade. So I build this lesson like a project pack where you download it, but then you do the project, and it's kind of fun. So when to mix a track? Well, you might have heard me counting 1, 2, 3, 4. This comes from music theory, from writing music on paper with bars and beats. Let's make sure you understand what I mean when I say bars and beats. So I want to do an activity with the beginning of the track and just show you what counting is all about. With electronic music, it goes in phrases where things change in a predictable way. The dancers feel it. They know how to change their dance moves when something changes in the music, like a beat drop or a new vocal or whatever. But you can actually count that. If you look here visually, this is the beginning of the Josh Butler track. Okay, so we're at the intro section. Just look visually. the first 16 bars, you can see there's kind of empty space. And then right here at bar 17, it gets darker and something else happens. So let's go a little bit deeper and listen. What happens after the first 16 bars? What do you hear? 2, 2, 3, 3, counting bars. 4, 5, 6, 7. And you need to be counting when you're DJing. 8. Watch this. 9, 2, 3, 4. 10, 2, 3, 4. 11, 2, 3. Those are beats. 13, 2, 3, 4. 14, 2, 3. 15, 2, 3, 4. 16. What happens at 17? Cymbal crash and the beat gets heavier. So when you see somebody counting and they're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, they are counting bars and beats. Every bar in 4/4 time signature, every bar has 4 beats. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we're counting when you hear people count like that. We're counting bars and beats, and the reason is every 8 bars, pretty much something interesting happens. Might be every 16 bars, and definitely on the 32 bars. 32 is the length of time that is about a minute for house music, and something changes a lot on that. The point is, this tells you when to drop a track and how to know when to drop a track. Can we do an example? Let's say we're listening to Free Your Body and we're at this breakdown section. Need a crossfader over here. I want to see the track, so I'm going to press Q. We're in a breakdown, and I want to drop Josh Butler right here at 129 where the beat comes back in. So let's count from 121. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2. And I dropped pros and cons. So what we're trying to do is find the right place in the track, in the music. When the people in the room are listening and dancing to the music, you need to drop the new record at the right moment so that it comes in and sounds good. Let me show you this in a different way. We're going to get Josh Butler at the end of the record. So there's only, I don't know, a short time before it runs out of record. So 177 to 193, that is 16 bars, right? 77, 87, 93. Yeah, this is a 16 bar chunk of music. So when we get to the end, this music is going to stop. On Free Your Body, what happens in the intro of this song? Crossfader to the left. Remember Josh Butler, after 17 bars, something happened? How does the Free Your Body track start? No mouse. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. Counting bars to see what happens after the first 16. 6, 7, 8. Listen. 9. Cymbal crash and some harmony stuff started. Let's let it roll another 8. 13, 2, 3, 4. 14, 2, 3. 15, 2, 3. 16, 2, 3, 4. 17. Another cymbal crash. So we know after 16 bars, that's like the mix in section. We know that we have 16 bars on the intro of Free Your Body, and those are going to line up with these 16 bars on the outro of Pros and Cons. Crossfader to the right. Let's check the outro to see what's happening for 16. Cymbal crash starts right there. 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 8, 2, 3, 4, 2, 10, 11, 12. Sounds like an ending. 13, 14, 15, kick drum drops out. 16, 3, 4, end. All right, let's make a mix. We need to launch Free Your Body when Josh Butler gets to bar 177. So let's roll it back another 8, 169. 9 plus 8 is 17. Yeah. So we're going to launch. Not going to use the mouse. We are at the end of the Josh Butler track. Deep house party. People are dancing. This is the music in the room. Everybody's grooving. It's clearly at the end of the track. We're in the mix out section because the bass line's gone, vocals are gone, nothing's happening. We need to drop a new record because I only have 30 seconds left, and this is already late to be making a mix. So I launched Free Your Body when I heard that cymbal crash. Cut the lows on the new track. And the crossfader is over on the new track. Free Your Body's coming in. We got a little bit left on Joshy B. And the new track is in. Ready to go. Type in 8 bars if this is making sense. What I'm trying to show you here is when to drop the new record. And this is honestly something that takes a while for practice. But I want to see if you're understanding the part about counting. So if you can type in 8 bars, if it makes sense, do that, because then I'll know you're paying attention. If you don't understand, please ask a question. What is this like when you're DJing with vinyl? Well, as a vinyl DJ, number one, first you have to learn how to beat match. You got your quartz lock and your pitch control and the platter. And like sometimes you drag your finger on the edge or you twist the spindle to make it go faster a little bit. Basic beat matching is hard enough on vinyl. So that's like a whole year. If you're learning to DJ on vinyl, it could take a year to learn how to beat match consistently with 2 records all the time. Then after that, you have to learn how to start the new record at the right moment so that the beat's going to drop when the old record is running out. We can call it phrasing basically. And yeah, it usually happens with 8 bars and 16 bars of length, but it takes a while. The usual beginner mistake is to rush the mix, drop the new record too soon. Then the beat drops, but it doesn't have any impact because it's not the right moment. It's much better to ride the mix, let the old record play out until you hear the bass line disappear and you know that it's time for a new sound to come in. The dancers can always feel it. That's the funny thing. If you're stressed out in the DJ booth, you might not feel it in your body, but the dance floor is going to feel it. And they're going to know if you're rushing in the mix and pushing the new record too soon. And they're like, I don't know if you felt that, but I've definitely been on dance floors when I'm like, bro, what are you doing? It's like way too soon for this mix. And rushing the mix is bad for 2 reasons. Number one, it takes away something really good that people are listening to, like they're in a track and you're taking it away too soon. And the other problem is you're introducing something new and they're not ready for it yet. It's like if you sit down at a restaurant, they bring you dessert right away and you're like, I just wanted a cocktail, you know? So 8 bars, James Fabian. Thank you. I'm glad you're watching. And let me know where you live and what kind of music you play. I don't know if I know you all personally, but I always like to know if this is like, if I'm talking to like hip hop heads or like hard techno DJs, or if you're into dubstep or whatever. I like house and deep house. It's easy to teach with too. So that's why I'm using these examples. So that's kind of an idea of when to make a mix is by counting 8 bars and dropping the new track when the phrases line up and you hear a cymbal crash or something. Put it all together and make a mix. I do kind of want to just start DJing and play this track. We also have Master FX track. Okay, let's check out some Ken Kelly. Crossfader over to the right, 0 key. Ken Kelly track is starting. I added some master effects on here to just spice things up a little bit. You'll see these on Pioneer mixers with a yellow effects button or something. Over on the master channel. Oops. Asheville, North Carolina, wide range, especially dub reggae. Is that what you're saying? Rocking some dub reggae beats. That's cool, man. And reggae is kind of a different kind of mixing because you might not do a long mix like with the deep house track, but you can definitely beat match and drop interesting stuff with reggae, especially with acapellas and dancehall beats and the dubbed out B versions where you have like the dub version of one track and the vocal from another track. You get some effects and everything. Well, here's an effects rack. Remember our key commands? I put the letter D on this one. I just select the actual effects unit, hit the keyboard key D, so that as I'm playing, I can check out the EQs on deck 2, deck 1, and check out my master channel rack. This is a master effects rack, so anything on these 2 tracks is going to the master channel. I've got this effects selector and an effects depth with the delay, and then some fun parameters. There's a filter on there. Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Deep house, funky, organic, indie dance, tech house. All right, so Fabian, you're right on the zone with 125 BPM, and I guess organic goes a little slower than that, but yeah, good. Thank you, thank you. So, how about let's take the Ken Kelly track and keep the vocal. So I'm gonna cut the lows and highs. Now I've got some funky delay on here. I wanna launch deck 1 with no mids. And I want to launch the new track at the right time so I can see we're in a breakdown because I can see the track. Just use a little bit of effects. When we get to this drop on that warp marker, I'm going to start the new track. So you can use the effects to like amplify your transitions. The lyrics are saying, I think I'm losing it, and the effects go out to some delay. And we're over here into the new track. So I like to use effects on the master channel for a couple reasons. Number one, in transitions, it adds some dimension to the sound, like 3D space, more than what's on the record. It allows you to put your own kind of sound design vibe into the music. And number two, it gives you something to do. If you're in a long 5-minute track, you could feel kind of stupid standing there like, I am waiting for the next mix. Remember, don't rush the mix, right? So you're gonna have a few minutes where, you know, you mix the new track is in, you take a sip of water, you check the crowd, you see what's going on, you check the countdown timer, see how much time you have left in your set. You look over, like, after you check your basic things of what's happening while you're DJing, you still have like 3 minutes to sit there and you'd be like, okay, that person's beautiful, they're getting down, they're bored over there, those people are getting drinks. Instead of just standing there like picking your nose, use some effects on the master channel to flow with the music and have some fun, so when people are watching you, they see some cool stuff happening. Check this out, I got a flanger on here. If you look in this little middle section, this is an effects selector and I have different chains with different effects. This DJ rack gives you a selector where you can pick out different things and then add the effects with depth. Little goes a long way. Selector. The best way to use effects is in time with the drops. This is a great way to practice counting 8-bar measures or 8-bar phrases. Let's check out some of these filters. How about a high pass filter? It's like make your own build up. It works really well to do some wet effects on the way towards a build-up, and then when the drop happens, go super dry so the bass drum hits and it's like poof, and it gets you. The Secret Life of Dante. This is great. Thank you. Is that Dante that I know from Pittsburgh? I got some stories about Dante. This dude's a rock climber who's like building exhibit design things on a lift. That was a fun show. But let me stay focused. All right, so we're talking about using effects, counting bars and beats, and making your tracks more interesting. I want to show you some of these other effects because they're really fun to play with. Let's check out a low pass filter, meaning it's going to cut off the high frequencies. Pretty basic. I mean, low pass filters are really common. Every synthesizer has a low pass filter and a resonance control that's like the first thing you tweak because it always sounds great. But they really do. They always work. What's happening on deck 2 this whole time? We're in a little breakdown. Oh, Dante, no way. Audio skills, gone on to use them to produce music and doing live sound and conducting. Wow, that's cool. I definitely learned a few things from this character too, especially on the topic of teamwork. We had a huge show with like 40 people working on the crew, and we had to figure out how to get all these people to work together and like literally not walk in front of a forklift or something. Dante was huge on that show. But anyway, FX, low pass filter. What does it do? Cuts out the high frequencies. Makes it sound kind of secret, like on the down low, right? And when you open up those high frequencies again, it goes over the top. And people get hyper. So that's how I use the low pass filter. High pass filter cuts out the bass, makes it drop. Flanger, that's that weird one. This is honestly an effects rack where I want to use the knobs, but you can still use it with your mouse. We touch the delay a little bit. Whoa. That was cool. And then of course you got your good old reverb to just add some echoey kind of space. Not technically echo, but the feeling of space. Little reverb goes a long way. And this DJ rack is inside the project, which you can get when you download it. So let me know if you have any questions. What we've been doing is looking at how to DJ with Ableton Live in a setting where you have only your laptop and a keyboard and the mouse, and you don't have enough mouse control to click your volume faders up and down and click your EQs up and down and pick out your tracks and start the tracks and click over to navigate to see the track view and how much time you have left, and then click over to see your EQs and everything. So we built a set where you can go up and down to pick different tracks. You can look at where you are in the track to see how much time is left, so you drop it at the right moment. We looked at how to count bars and beats going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And that should be running in the back of your mind all the time, so you can basically anticipate the right moment to drop the new track. We talked about using the crossfader, assigning your decks to A and B, so you have a left and right track for deck 1, deck 2 on the left and right of the crossfader. Then making a mix where we are doing some kind of zipper EQ. If I'm bringing in a new track, I only want one bass line. Deck 1 has the bass, deck 2 has the mids and highs. So I play them at the same time, and I get a nice solid mix without a big low end, flubby, kind of muddy mess. And at the right moment, you can throw the crossfader over, bring in the new track, open up the EQs wide, and get a nice solid mix. And all this you can do just in live with a laptop. In the future, the next workshops we're going to work on are more advanced routing, where you have an external audio interface, and like deck 1 would go to a channel on the mixing board, deck 2 would go to a separate channel. So you have your physical hands to do volume control, EQ control, and mix control. And then you don't need to have like a 3-band EQ inside live. That's if you have an audio interface where you can send stereo outputs to different locations. But if you don't have the audio interface, there's really no way to do any queuing. You can't hit your headphones. Let me show you what happens. Fabian, can you launch a specific warp marker you want at any time? Yes, I will jump straight to that because that is a really fun part of DJing. And we can even show you some stuff about hot queuing. Okay. Like if you want to go back in the track because you missed a part and you're running out of time in the track. Yeah, you can do that. So, thinking about you. Watch the mouse right here. It's a magnifying glass, and then it goes to a little speaker, and then it goes down to a pointer. What you want is that little loudspeaker. When you click on a warp marker, click. And I don't know if you can tell, I'm pressing the button on the mouse a little bit before the beat goes. The way this is working is it's quantized, meaning Ableton plays the audio at a certain metronome beat. The quantization is quarter notes up here in the global thing, so that when I press the mouse key, it doesn't just restart instantly. It does it on the beat to make sure I stay beat matched. Watch, if I set the global quantizing to 1 bar, you'll see how long it takes. Like, let's say we're playing over here. I'll say click when I click. Click. And it waits until the next bar. If I have it on no quantization, that's when you get chaos. So I recommend leaving it on quarter note quantizing globally, taking all your tracks and setting quantize to global. Steve, that should have been done from the beginning. Now, when I press the button, it's going to launch the tracks exactly on the metronome click. Here's my metronome. Crossfader. You can even probably hear in the microphone, I press the button a little second before and the track starts on the metronome. So that's what you do. You keep it on quantized launch. So yes, you can beat jump. So I'm pressing keys. Which one did you map? I thought you were dragging it with a mouse. I am pressing keys to launch the clip slot with the 9 and the 0. That's where I map the track scene launch with keys 9 and 0 to launch the clip for the first time. That will launch it at the place where the where the start marker is. But when the track is playing, metronome off, only one track playing at a time. When I look at the Ken Kelly track, Thinking About You, I'm looking at this track right here. Now I can use the mouse and click somewhere on a warp marker to relocate the track. Let me know if that answers your question. If I want to mix in the new track, like Ken Kelly over here, I can just start it. Like, let's say I want to start after this breakdown and start at bar 121. Deck 2, I have the bass cut, so we're cool. Here. I'm gonna try that again right here. Now, if I'm in this situation and I find out, oh, I'm listening to deck 1, track 2, I want to start a lot earlier, I can just click at bar 41 or something earlier and get it back to the beginning. Fabian, let me know if that answers your question. Ableton is really flexible where you can just jump around. Yes, okay, I think that's right. You can just jump around in the view of the track and click anywhere you want to. And I really recommend you have the launch quantization set to global and your global quantize on quarter note, because that will keep your tracks synchronized, especially for house music, so that the kick drum starts with the other kick drum and you don't end up with some beat matching chaos. That was a great question, by the way. I'm glad you asked that question. I never thought to explain that, but it is a totally great question. So we talked about EQ kill switches, master effects to make it interesting when you're mixing. It's 8:45 right now. I have a question. If you know how to warp tracks, I should do another whole warping workshop, but I'd like to just show you an example of like an unwarped track. So remember, we've been listening to house music, right? We just had, this is the speed of the Ableton metronome, and our house tracks were warped up here. So this track is warped. The warp markers are going to make the audio happen on the metronome, and it's perfect. Now, this track, the ghost whistle, is not warped. Listen to what happens even if I launch it right on the beat. What is going on? It's a train wreck. It's not matched at all because the Ableton metronome is clicking away. Ableton has no idea what speed this ghost whistle track is happening because it's not warped. So warping is all about telling Ableton what speed the track is supposed to play, and then you set your Ableton metronome to play that audio at the right speed. So that if you have another track, so it takes time, but yeah, well, it does take a little bit of time. What's missing on deck 2? It's the lows. Yeah, warping does take a little bit of time, and I did write instructions for this, but I'm not going to do it on this workshop because it's already 8:45. I think I'll do that another time. Here's a question for you guys. Is this a good time of day for you to be on YouTube? I like doing videos in the evening when I'm kind of done for the day and I can hang out and show you what stuff I did, you know, kind of play with it. So if this is a good time slot, just give me like a yes on time. I can do another one tomorrow or Wednesday. I really like showing DJing, and every time I show something, I find more stuff to teach. So I'm kind of just like extending it and getting more and more topics or better and better at it each time. We had a whole lecture before on how to beat match with another DJ. And to really teach this, I should get a vinyl turntable, play a record, and then beat match from live. So I think this lecture is going to wait. And this might be a good stopping point for today. James Gardner, usually good time. All right, cool. Good. And I think you posted a track in Discord that I missed on March 6th. Sorry about that. Yeah, I did. I didn't give you comments on that one. I realized that. Sorry about that. But thanks for doing the mixing projects. And I'm checking for any other comments. All right, cool. Well, let me just like, Dante, I go inside when the sun goes down. Crossfader. Deck 1, deck 2. Yeah. I think it would be cool to have stutterFX. Okay, that could be something we build in another effect unit with like BeatRepeat or something like that. I guess since we're asking the question, I'm just going to show you BeatRepeat right now. We're on deck 2. What I like to do with BeatRepeat... Oh, Fabian, on YouTube, these live videos automatically go to replay afterwards. So if you see the link somewhere on Facebook or something, you can always go to the video later and watch the replay. And you can even comment and I'll answer your comments. Yes, BeatRepeat device is really cool. Let me show you some fun setups for some stutterFX. I like to put chance at 0 and use the repeat switch. And you know me, I like to map things, right? So let's take the repeat switch, and for this video, we'll put it on, I don't know, B. Because nothing else is on B. So now I can trigger repeats whenever I want them. If you set this switch to insert, you only hear the repeats, which makes it easy to find where they're happening. This is a great one to map a knob for the grid. You can do some stuff with pitch decay, volume decay. And it's also fun to add a filter on the repeats. Listen to this. So BeatRepeat is fun when you actively do it. You can also turn the chance on and have it happen randomly. But I like to use it more as a intelligent effect for emotional vibe at the right moment in the music. Fabian, thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. And Dante, yeah, that is super cool. So again, I just dropped BeatRepeat on here, Put chance at 0. I use the repeat switch to make it happen. And then you learn the rest of the controls by doing them. Mix will give you the repeats with the basic music underneath it. Insert gives you only the repeats. And gate means you hear nothing until the repeats come on. So maybe try it with insert to get some basic stutter glitch effects. Yeah, 850. It's amazing. I thought I was going to do a 20-minute tutorial, and it turns into a couple good questions and a couple of fun things. Dante, like the old school DJ mixing boards, you want some stutters like that? I'm not sure what those effects were. I'm imagining, I'm remembering kind of what that sound was like. I'm not sure quite exactly how to build that in live, but that's something else to explore for later. So if you didn't do it yet, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see me go live the next time I'm doing it. I love using Session View in Ableton. I think it's like the best place to make tracks. So I'm going to be doing a bunch more videos this spring about how I use Session View to build tracks with my intros, drops, breakdowns, main drop, and outros, just like we were looking at in these tracks. Gonna hit the W key, boop. Like when I'm producing, this is what I'm thinking. I want to have an intro like this. I want a section first, a big drop, breakdown, main drop that goes for like a fat 2 minutes, and then a mix out. You know, when you're DJing for a while, you kind of have that built into your mental structure of what has to happen as the events in a track. And then you can build your own music so that that happens. So I teach that in Session View, and then how to DJ with them and perform it. And also some other things about DJing with more audio effects and outputs. I have a DJ booth behind the camera right up there with an audio mixer, and I'll show you some videos on that. So hit the button, subscribe. If you're watching this in the future, you can always drop a comment and ask me a question to let me know what you want to do. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. What's this saying? Fabian, once I download your template, try to recreate using my MIDI controller. Oh, yeah, well, the main thing to do when you're learning is to start, and then you get better. Also, Fabian, James, you're welcome. You're most certainly welcome. I think I will have to put a link to Gumroad later this week and put a template to download from Gumroad. I have something on Google Drive, but I can't put that link out publicly because it's on a... Never mind. So yeah, Fabian, watch the comments and I'll get in touch with you on where you can download this. And I think that's going to be it for this time. Let's check out how this track drops. So we're in Up All Night. Got all my EQs in. Check out the master effects. I think this is going to be a little low pass filter with LFO modulation. There we go. If I heard that on the dance floor, I would be like, this DJ's into it. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for me for this time. Thank you so much for hanging out. James Gardner, thank you for doing my mix course and staying in touch. And Fabian and Dante and anybody else who's watching, thank you so much for hanging out with me on Monday night. And I'll catch you next time. How do I stop this stream? End stream. There we go.